Welcome to the guitar lesson. I'm going to talk a little bit about some equipment that you should get, starting with a guitar tuner. I've got a couple of them here. They're pretty cheap. You can usually get one for like 10 bucks, 20, maybe even less than that depending on where you go. But most of them will have a built-in microphone so that you can just play into it, or it'll have a plug-in so that if you're dealing with an electric guitar that isn't really loud, you can just plug it in, and it's usually more accurate too. It'll basically tell you if you're too sharp or too flat, and you just adjust the pitch by turning the tuning pegs that I showed you in the last lesson until you get the right pitch on each of the 6 strings. So you should definitely have a guitar tuner. Another thing pertinent to practice is a metronome. This is a very cheap metronome. It probably cost me 8 or 10 bucks. It's made by QuickTime. All it does is it makes a little clicking sound like this. Hopefully you can hear that. That's it. And you can adjust it. There's little arrows on it. There's an up arrow if I want to make it go faster. That was 100 beats per minute. This is 139. You can hear it's a little faster. And you can usually adjust these between, I don't know, 40 and maybe 220 beats per minute. It's definitely important that you get one of these metronomes, and they're really cheap. So a guitar tuner and a metronome. Another thing that you might want to get for these lessons is a journal, such as one like this one right here. You're going to document. Hello, phone. You're going to document these lessons. You're going to write them all down just like I did here. We've got pages and pages full of lessons, just like this. This way you can see your progress. The way that it works is that you write down the exercise at the top so you know what you're dealing with. And then you start making columns. Like day 1, I'll date it. This one says 10/4 of 2000. And then next to that I got the BPM. I started this particular exercise at 60 beats per minute. And then day 2, which was 10/5, 2000, I bumped it up to 62, and then 64, and so on and so forth. I usually don't increase the beats per minute more than 1 or 2. Sometimes I'll even keep it the same if I think I'm not ready to go faster yet. But this is how you're going to document your progress, and it's always going to start slow. I started slow. Some of these exercises I started at more like 40 or 50 beats a minute, and others I started upwards of 60 or 70 beats a minute. And over time you can get really fast at it if you do it consistently every day and you write it down. So these journals are really important for that reason. And I can send you more on that later if you'd like. Another thing, this is optional, is a manuscript book. I actually write down my exercises in the manuscript book, and then I document my time in the journal, and I sort of cross-reference the two so that I've got everything completely organized, and I can see my progress over time. And seeing progress is also really good to fuel your motivation, which you'll probably need. It's nice to have extra motivation so that you don't quit on guitar, so you keep playing. And one thing about that, about writing down exercises, guitar players typically use tablature rather than writing in music. Some of us can write music, but most of us, for whatever reason, like guitar tablature. So I'm going to try to show you this on a sheet of paper in the camera, and hopefully it won't be fuzzy. Okay, you can see from the last lesson I showed you the different strings. See the 2 E strings there, the one on the top and the one on the bottom? Same note, just a different octave. One is high and one is low. Now in guitar tabs, the strings are numbered 1 through 6. There's 6 strings, right? And you can see that right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is the low E string. That's the fattest string. And as the numbers go down, the strings get thinner, the pitch gets higher, and that's how that works. It's all in order, so it's pretty simple. The numbers here, these represent the frets. If you studied your guitar anatomy from last lesson, you'll be familiar with the frets. The 0, that means an open string. There's not really a 0 fret, so 0 just means you play that open. Now if I'm going to read this in tabs, here's how it's going to look. The first note, you're going to read left to right like you normally would, is going to be on the 5th string open, so you just play that 5th string open. That's it, you're not even fretting it. Second note is going to be on the 4th string 2nd fret. It's kind of like finding coordinates on a map. It's really that simple, reading guitar tablature. And the 3rd note is going to be on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and then the 2nd string, 1st fret. Now when they're all stacked like this, that's a chord. You play these simultaneously. So you just set your fingers up to, well, this one, and then this one is open. So that's a chord. That's basically how you read guitar tabs. It's pretty simple. And now that you understand the concept of guitar tabs, if you get a manuscript, you can write down all these lessons. You can create lessons of your own. I create lessons of my own all the time. And you can write them down in your manuscript. You can title it, and then you go back to your journal over here, and you title a page on your journal so that you can cross-reference the two, and you can look up the exercise if you don't remember by the title or whatever. And then you just start documenting your progress. Put down today's date, followed by beats per minute on the metronome, and do that every day. Practice every day, and each time you get a little bit faster if you feel you're up to it, and if you don't, then practice the same beats per minute 2 days in a row. There's no harm in that. Alright, I'm going to end this video here. The next one, I'm actually going to put you through 3 exercises, and I hope you enjoy them. Three exercises, just like I promised in the last video. The first one's going to be an open string exercise. We're going to practice alternate picking, and then we're going to do 2 fretted exercises. So, refer back to that lesson in reading guitar tabs. It's going to be strings 1 through 6, and the fret is going to be 0, which isn't really a fret, it's an open string. So we're going to start on string number 6, and we're going to play that note 4 times. And the picking is going to be down, up, up. Okay? And before we do that, I should probably show you how I hold my pick. It's kind of like making an OK symbol. And I've got my thumb on the outer aspect of my index finger, like this. And I simply put my pick in there. And I've got just the tip of my pick sticking out, enough to make contact with the string. I'm not gripping at the very top of my pick, where most of my pick is protruding out, okay? That's really important. Just the tip of it is out, like so. And when I'm picking, the movement is primarily in my wrist. I'm not jerking my entire arm. It's just small movements within my wrist. Now you can make minor adjustments, and this is going to feel odd at first, maybe even uncomfortable. You just have to make adjustments so that it's comfortable for you. And sometimes, different people have a very different way of holding picks. Not everyone holds a pick like this. Some people will clench it like this, almost with a fist, and somehow it works for them. Other people, not so much. Most people pick it pretty much how I do. So try this way, and make minor adjustments so that it's as comfortable as it can be for you. And make the movements in your wrist, like so. Now, go to the low E string, that would be string number 6, and play it 4 times. Down, up, like so. And then go to the next string, which is going to be string number 5. And the next. And just finish. And the whole exercise is going to sound something like this. That's it. Now I want you to do that every day. The next exercise is going to be your first fretted exercise. And we are going to start on the 2nd string, 5th fret, with your index finger. So it sounds just like that. This is all going to be alternate picking too. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and play that note on the downstroke. And on the upstroke, I simply want you to bring your ring finger over on that same second string to the 7th fret. And that's going to be on the upstroke. So we have those two sounds now. Down, up, down, up. When you're fretting, make sure you're arching your fingers. You don't want to lay them flat on the neck. I see that a lot with new students who aren't used to it, but get used to arching fingers so that you're not dampening out the other strings. Actually, in this case, you do want to dampen out the other strings, but largely with this hand right here, with the fleshy part of your palm right here, so that you're only sounding the one string. But when you're playing chords especially, you're going to want to get used to being able to arch your fingers so that all the strings can sound out. So here we go again. And the third note is going to be played with your pinky finger on the 8th fret, same string, we're not switching strings here, and that's going to be on the downstroke. So we got down, up, down, down, up, down, just like that. Okay, so the notes are all on the 2nd string. It's going to be the 5th fret, followed by the 7th fret, followed by the 8th fret, down, up, down. Index finger, ring finger, pinky finger. Here's what it sounds like. All alternate picking. Now to make this more complete-like, here's what it's going to sound like. That way it sounds more complete. You can keep going over and over and over it again and make it an exercise. So basically that 4th note, we've got this, 1, 2, 3. That 4th note, I'm simply falling back with the ring finger on the 2nd string, 7th fret. That's it. Now I start all over, just like so. And you can do this for 5 minutes straight, just practicing and practicing. And the last exercise I want to show you for today is going to be the same notes, okay, but in reverse order. Instead of starting on this note, on the 5th fret, we're going to start on the 8th fret with the pinky finger. And we're still going to use the same notes, same fingers, same string. It's going to sound like this. That's it. So we've got 2 exercises. Here they go. 1. And the second one. That's it. So those are 3 exercises I want you to practice every day. And I'm going to show you how to do this with the metronome here. I'm going to turn it on. Hopefully the sound will come through it. Hopefully. There's the clicks. I want you to play 2 notes per click on these. I'm going to slow this down to about, let's see here, maybe I'll go down to 50. It's a nice slow pace. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. I'm going to play one exercise with the clicker at 50 beats per minute. I'm going to listen to it at least 4 times so I got it in my head. And if that's too fast, which it probably will be, you can lower it even more to 40 or whatever. And if it doesn't go that low, then play 1 note per 1 click. So then it would sound like this. When you write this down in your journal, make sure you specify if you're playing 2 notes per click, 1 note per click. Whoops. 2 notes per click, 1 note per click. 1 note per click is a whole note, so you can also write it down as whole note as long as you remember it's 1 note per click. or 2 notes per click, which is an 8th note. If you were to do 4 notes per click, that's a 16th note. So you can write all that stuff down just for your own learning's sake. But make sure that you include that in your journal. So when you write down these 3 exercises, and you practice these every day and you write it down in your journal, make sure that every day you put down today's date, the number of clicks per minute, and followed by if it's a whole note, which is 1 note per click, or an 8th note, which is 2 notes per click, or 4 notes per click at 16th notes, which I really doubt you're going to be doing yet. That's a ways down the road. So that's how I want you to practice every day, and a year from now you should be able to play that lickety split. That's it.